Hi, welcome to my channel, Sewing with Maryrose. In this video, I'm going to show you how to sew a travel size pillowcase. I bought this travel pillow at a gas station one day when we were out in the middle of nowhere. Since then, it has become one of my best and favorite pillows. It was this royal purple color that I absolutely love. It's held up very well over the years. My son wanted this pillow in red, so I decided to make a pillowcase for it. Travel pillows typically run about 14 by 20 inches or about 15 by 20 inches or somewhere around 35.5 centimeters by 50 centimeters. My pillowcase is about this size. Today I used a remnant that I got from Joann's. It's a very lightweight cotton, and everything I'm using I will link in the description below. You could either cut your fabric with scissors or use a rotary cutter and a self-healing mat. Be sure to always cut away from you when you are using the rotary cutter, and be sure to use the safety blade every time. I folded my fabric in half and I cut my fabric 16 inches by 26 inches. I want to make sure that everything is lined up and even. There's nothing worse than having a pillowcase that is not perfectly even, so you could see that I am checking and double checking just to make sure that everything is totally even. It would have been nice if I would have ironed this pillowcase before I started doing all of this work on it. However, I felt kind of pressed for time, and it was for my little travel pillow, which I think would be just fine. Now I'm pressing the open edge a half an inch all the way around. Later, I will use the pressed edge as a guide when I take it through my Brother serger machine. I love using my small Cricut iron. It is so cute. So again, the small opening has a half an inch seam. I folded it over again, and now here I am making a 3.5 edge for this pillowcase. I constantly check and double check to make sure that it is perfectly even, and now I am going to press all of the edges again for a nice and crisp pillowcase edge. You could use a bigger iron if you like. This is just my little iron that I love using. The half an inch press will help you later on. Now we are clipping the edges. You want to make sure that everything is nice and even. That's the trick, make sure nice and even edges. You can use the pressed edge as a guide for your serger as you're taking it through, or you can use an overlock stitch if your sewing machine has that, or a zigzag stitch. You will be putting this through your serger or sewing machine on the long side of the pillowcase, because you're going to fold it over and serge both sides together inside out, and then you are going to serge one end of the pillowcase. Here I am going to now serge the other side. As you see here, while I'm serging, I'm using that half an inch pressed seam as my guide. Now you'll chain off and tied in a knot or back stitch if you're using the sewing machine. Here I am chaining off, and I'm just tying this in a double knot on both sides. And I do this because nobody is going to see the end of my serged areas on both ends, so I don't have to be fancy. This is one of my favorite ways to ensure that my projects will not become unraveled in an area that nobody is going to see. It is pretty time consuming to use a hand embroidery needle and thread it through a serged edge. I reserve that for when the serged edge has a chance that it might be seen. But in this case, you don't have to do that. You could backstitch on the sewing machine if you use that. So now you're folding the opening and you're checking it to see that everything is 3.5 inches. You could use this hem ruler or you could use a see-through ruler. And again, you just want to check to make sure that it is even all the way around. Here I am pressing this opened edge of my pillowcase, and we want to give it that nice, crisp and clean look that all pillowcases have. You want to make sure that this 3.5 inch fold goes all the way around. You'll flip it over, double check and iron it. Here I am checking it with my hem guide. And there it is. I have several of those around because I always want to have one handy, and it's just super satisfying to see that it's 3.5 inches as I move this hem guide ruler all the way around. I do have that linked in the description below. And here I am checking it again. I just like to make sure everything is exactly the way I want it. Here's a close-up with my see-through ruler and my hem guide to show you that it is 3.5 inches. You want to make sure you turn off your iron. You need to keep everything safe, and I'm winding my bobbin here, bringing it to my sewing machine, and you can use a zigzag stitch here, or you could use a straight stitch. It is totally up to you what you want to do on this edge, and the main thing we want to do is make sure that we have a nice line and guide to follow. So on my plate, I have a marking that I am just following along. I believe this is a 1/2 inch, and I'm just turning it, moving it, making sure that this line is nice and straight, because I will be using this line that this makes when I turn over my pillowcase to follow along so it has a nice and pretty edge. Sewing straight lines is pretty relaxing to me. I did increase the stitch length when I'm going to sew all the way around. You want to save a remnant and check to see if it's the right stitch length. Is your thread or line bunching up? Is it too loose? So just check it, because every fabric's a little different and you just want it to look the best it can look. So I did end up going with the 3.0 instead of the default 2.5. Here I folded over the edge, and now I'm following that line along that I made earlier so that it is nice and even, straight all the way around, ensuring that it's nice and flat as I am feeding it through my sewing machine at a stitch length of 3.0 with this thinner fabric. Now I'm all finished sewing it all the way around. I'm trimming off these stray threads, and I'm getting it ready to put on my new pillow. Well, not so new, but on my travel pillow in red, which is what my little guy asked for. It's finished. Now I'm just going to put it in this pillowcase and let's see what he thinks of it. I think it looks cute. I'm super happy. It was a very quick project. He approves. If you'd like to watch any more videos about sewing, serging, machine embroidery, please hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching.